Italian travel, here I am on Lake Garda, in Peschiera. A lively place usually teeming with tourists, which unfortunately these days is unrecognizable because of the coronavirus. Despite this bad situation, you can do very interesting things. For instance, if you like riding a bike in the nature, you must know that from Brescia Gate starts a nice bike path that follows the bank of the river Mincio and gets to Mantova. Oh, finally I am alone so I can lower my face mask.
Qualche informazione sulla pista.
Some information about the bike path. From Peschiera to Mantova it's about 27 miles. It is a very easy lane, all flat, no difference in height. It's paved, just few short section of dirt road, but you don't need a specific bike, it's all really easy. If I'm doing it, also you can. So, if you are trained, you can go from Peschiera to Mantova and get back in one day. In about 3-4 hours you are in Mantova. You can have a break, have lunch and other 3-4 hours to get back. If you are not trained, like me, in about 4 hours you are in Mantova, or more if you want to stop and visit some interesting things I'll show you. When in Mantova you can take a train to get back to Peschiera. Or if you prefer you go by train to Mantova and get back by bike. In both cases, keep in mind that there are no direct trains between Mantova and Peschiera. You are going to stop in Verona, but no big deal. Third option, in my opinion the best one if you have the chance, you can leave from Peschiera del Garda. When in Mantova you can visit the city, stay overnight. The next morning you can visit Mantova, there are a lot of beautiful things to see. And then come back by bike in another 3-4 hours. So, a good idea also for a weekend. Another tip, if you don't want to leave from Brescia Gate, you can park your car in a free parking lot, which is right next to me. I'm passing here now, I'll show you. Just seek for Pietro Nenni Street in Peschiera del Garda. At the end of this street, turn right at the roundabout, follow the bank of the river, 400 yards you find the parking lot. The Peschiera-Mantova cycle path is part of the Eurovelo 7 route, 4,700 miles long cycle path from North Cape in Norway to Malta. This route runs along some popular European cycle paths, although it's not completed yet. The very first miles of the lane proceeds along the right bank of the Mincio river, close to the shore. This is a good spot for fishermen and sportsmen. After 4 miles I easily reached the Saglionze Dam, that regulates the flow of the river. From this point on, the cycle path continues along the left bank of the Mincio river. I ride along the border between Lombardy and Veneto, and after a handful of miles in this green landscape, I glimpse the unmistakable profile of the Church of Monzambano. The cycle lane passes through Valeggio sul Mincio. I am in the province of Verona. In this section of the bike path there are good places where to stop to have a drink or eat, but it's another thing that draws my attention and worth a visit. The origin of the Sigurtà Garden Park dates back to the 15th century. Many families took turns as the owners of the park, but the current look is due to the industrialist Giuseppe Carlo Sigurtà, who began a great work of redevelopment of the park in 1941, which is nowadays 60 hectares big. Thanks to the passion and the dedication of the Sigurtà family, in 2013 the garden was awarded as the most beautiful park in Italy and the second most beautiful park in Europe in 2015. Luckily, the 6 miles of walkways can also be covered by bike. Otherwise, I would take a whole day to admire all this beauty. From the water gardens to the Hermitage, the 1,000-flowered corners of the park, to the panoramic promenade, the maze, the Avenue of the Roses. But not just this, also the farm, the fallow deer valley, the castle, the hill of the olive trees, the medicinal herbs garden. A signaled circuit will guide you through the garden, in a beautiful tour up and down the hills that eventually will take the wind out of your sails, but it will be worth it.
Siamo nel 1117.
We are in 1117, January the 3rd. A huge earthquake shakes down northern Italy and causes a lot of damage. The castle of Valeggio sul Mincio is destroyed. In 1262, the Della Scala family, the ruling family of Verona, ordered the rebuilding of the castle and the construction of a very important and powerful defensive structure, made up of walls, towers and moats, that started from here, from the Castello of Valeggio, sheltered the town and reached Villafranca di Verona and Nogarole, 10 miles of defensive structure, called Serraglio or Scaliger Serraglio. At the end of the 14th century, the Visconti family of Milan conquered this area. They took possession of this territory, of the castle, and built an even more powerful defensive structure from the castle to the Borghetto Bridge, nowadays known as the Ponte Visconteo. In the 16th century, the Venetians arrived. They were sailors, the Republic of Venice, one of the 4 maritime republics, and they basically preferred to fortify Peschiera del Garda on Lake Garda, and they abandoned this area. So today, of that mighty defensive structure wanted by the Visconti of Milan, remain very few things to see, basically the towers on the Visconti Bridge of Borghetto, but Borghetto is considered one of the most beautiful hamlets in Italy, so I'm going to visit it. "700 yards long and 27 yards wide, simply the long bridge for the inhabitants. It gives a beautiful view of Borghetto, with no doubt the best district of Valeggio sul Mincio. The old town of Borghetto still has the typical look of a medieval village, with the ancient defensive wall and the mills, once used for milling the cereals. This small village lives in harmony with the Mincio River. The connection between history and nature has remained unchanged over the centuries, and still is the charm of this hamlet, that today has become a popular tourist destination where to spend pleasant hours drenched in its peace and colors. But it's time to leave. Mantova is far away. Just outside Valeggio, I am back in the nature. I keep on riding along the green banks of the river, and among farms and cultivated fields I enter Lombardy. In Volta Mantovana, the river Mincio embraces a small island where there is the Chiosco dei Mulini, Kiosk of the Mills. Few people this morning, but usually it is crowded. This is the last place on the bike path where you can get something to drink or to eat. From here to Mantova, there are no other rest stops. But I go on. I ride my bike in peace in this spot of the world where everything seems quiet, but instead the pitfalls are just around the corner. Reckless families of swans jump on the cycle lane at a shocking speed, and I must let them pass. Come on, plummet lad. In Pozzolo, the cycle path moves away from the flow of the river. I'll meet it again once I get to Mantova. Now the lane follows one of its canals called the Pozzolo Maglio. I take my time and enjoy the moment. I want to rest a bit to be ready for the last section of the cycleway. But even if I'm restored, everyone overtake me. I am in the middle of the Mantuan countryside. The banks of the canal are getting sunnier. Around Soave for a short section you need to pedal on a country road, but shortly after the cycleway proceeds on the right shore of the canal. From here on, the cycleway follows the right side of the canal. But if you want, just before reach Mantova, you can turn left and leave the bike path. Just 1 mile and you reach the forest of the fountain. A handful of hectares of lowland forest luckily remained untouched for centuries, because it was the hunting ground of the Gonzaga family, the ruling family of Mantova. This is a natural reserve. I cannot get in by bike. Here I could walk a whole day in what was the Gonzaga's amusement park. The hunting lodge, located in the middle of a clearing, is actually a small castle not open to visitors, unless you have a permission. This little forest is one of the last shelters for many animal species, and wherever I turn I see signaled paths that I can sweep to discover the forest. But I want to go to Mantova, and I want to get there by bike, so I'd better leave. I'm back on the cycleway, that immediately moves away from the canal and heads towards the city. Mantova is close. Shortly after, I glimpse the first buildings and the high-speed roads. I pass by the Mincio rowing club and ride on the bridge of the mills, that splits the river Mincio in 2 parts called the Upper Lake and the Middle Lake. Here is the river again, surrounding Mantova and widening until it looks like a lake, giving the city the largest expanse of water lilies in the world outside Japan. Here I am, Mantova. The bike path is over. I pass by some of the icons of the city: Piazza Virgiliana, Palazzo Ducale, the Castle of St. George. Here I am, finally. Beautiful ride, beautiful cycleway. Now I am a little tired, so I'm going to stop here. I'll stay overnight because tomorrow I want to visit Mantova. But don't you stop! Follow me, subscribe my channel for more videos, and as usual, if you have questions or doubts, write me in the comments below. See you next time!